Hi, this is Ed Cohen, your broadcast host today on Global Radio, talkshow.com, and the new Global TV talk show. Our special guest today is Jampel, who's coming to us from the Philadelphia region. Let's say hello to Jack. Hi.
Hi, Ed. How are you?
Yes, great. Thanks for being our guest today.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, so we want to talk about leadership. How's that? Is that a good idea?
Sounds good to me. Yep. We can do
All
that.
right, good. So I see you wearing looks like a purple shirt.
Yeah.
That's welcome. I'm wearing black a lot these days. It hides everything better. So let's talk about leadership. It's needed today more than ever, isn't it?
It sure is, especially with what we're going through, obviously, with COVID-19. Leadership has become really critical, and not just at the top, but all the way down. You know, anyone that supervises people, it's become even more critical now.
So how is leadership done differently when people are working from home?
Yeah. Well, again, it's really two things. It's really the COVID problem and also working from home. Most leaders now, or most managers, probably have never in their careers led an entire organization, working from home. Most of the time, they may have a couple of people working from home, but not at this magnitude. So they were kind of thrown into this with no training. And you're not only dealing with the different type of work that has to get done depending on your company, but you're dealing with the human aspect of it also, both from health, both from people being home. So it's really a conglomerate of a lot of different things going on, very difficult.
So I would think that people who are working from home have interruptions, the dog or the kids or the partner or spouse, and time pressures and work pressures. And oftentimes I would think the boss is meeting the home people for the first time in a non-work environment. So it changes the whole perspective and relationship difference, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. You know, like you said, there's people in the background, either it's a family or a pet or interruptions that, you know, you're constantly dealing with. But everyone today has an understanding of that. So they try to do the best that they can under the circumstances. It's just like I said, we've just all been thrown into it, and it's something definitely new to everyone.
Yeah. So how do you prepare for this kind of new normal? New now is what I'm calling it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are companies that have done these pulse surveys with their organizations to make sure. I think every company, every large good company, came out with guidance as quickly as possible from their talent development, from HR, and different organizations on what managers should be doing, and having meetings with their employees at least once a week. But I'm sure, we did a pulse survey, and other companies, I'm sure, have done pulse surveys to make sure that the company is doing everything that they can during these times to support these employees who are working under, totally different circumstances. So I think that's what it really is. It's communication of the manager with their departments, at least once a week has to happen.
So there's a big amount of stress going on. If we can talk about this from an interpersonal point of view, that would be a good focus. So tell me about the elements of rising stress that's evident in responses or non-responses or attention span. That's pretty normal when you're at home, but in a work environment at home, that could go nuts.
Sure, because, people have a lot of things on their mind. They have not only their health, they have their families, they have their jobs. They're wondering, what's going to happen when we, once and for all open up, what will happen to their jobs. So now, everyone is trying to manage their self-worth, making sure that they're trying to keep busy at work, but yet balancing what's going on at home as well. And it's kind of self-fulfilling, even though you may not be doing the same work, but you're trying to do other types of work under projects and things like that. So I think there's a lot of stress level, in the workplace, just the uncertainty of what happens when we do start, reopening in a slow, percentage of people coming in and seeing how that works out. Yeah.
So how slow will it be starting June 1, the back to work thing? It's going to be a learning on the go thing, right?
Yeah, I think the key to all this is when will we get the vaccine? And until that's done, I think there's, 3 areas that we're watching or we're concentrating on, and that's kind of the federal level, the government level as far as their guidance on how to reopen. And then you have your area level of what is your counties or your cities, or what are they saying in those different areas where you have offices? And then thirdly, what is happening at your location itself? Okay, so there's 3 components I think they're going to have to be looked at and to measure how quickly or how slowly you come out of this. I don't think anybody really knows, other than the feel out there is that it's going to be slow, just like everything else has been slow, with caution. But I think there's going to be different areas that can be looked at. And it's not just what the government may say, what the organization may say. It just depends on a lot of different other factors.
Yeah, very interesting. So just as an aside, so today is May 21. Tomorrow, I'm conducting a talk show with a London-based psychologist, and she's going to tell a personal story because she and her husband have had the COVID, and she said it was pretty rough. And coincidentally and unfortunately, they lost her father-in-law due to complications from COVID just 2 days ago.
Wow.
So, yeah, that is rough. And she's willing to share that kind of thing. And she'll have some tips about interpersonal communications during stressful times, particularly the work from home situation. And then also on the show that we're doing is Zurich-based Angela Weinberger, who is an author of a book called The Global Mobility Handbook. And she's also a trainer. And she had a milder case of COVID, and so she's going to share that information. And we have Mark Bacacci from Hilton Worldwide, and Mark Nadich from AbbVie Pharmaceutical, just retired from there as VP Talent. So they're going to be chatting, and we've got actually a worldwide audience on this very topic. So I wanted to just tie it together. That will be recorded and then available later. So let's change the topic a little bit, if it's okay with you, and let's talk about what you're going to be doing this holiday weekend.
You know what? I have a small shore house in New Jersey, on the Jersey Shore. So just getting out of our regular home and just getting the opportunity to go to our shore house and just have different scenery, and the water does amazing things. Just being able to see the
fresh
water.
Air. Yeah.
Absolutely. It just really calms you. It relieves stress. It's amazing. Like once you get down there,
you never want to go back.
No, exactly. It just changes everything. So we're looking forward to going down there. The unfortunate thing is, obviously, we can't have company. We can't be with friends. So it adds a little something to it that makes it a little bit of stress. But overall, it's the water is an amazing thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably too soon to go in the water, though.
Well, right, it does. We have a small boat. We do go on the boat, but it's definitely.
Well, that's a good place. Yeah, the boat will be a good place to quarantine.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely. That they haven't closed that down. They did open up the beaches here.
Yeah.
We'll test that, but they're saying you have to keep your blankets, I don't know, 10 feet away from each other. So it'll be interesting to see how
that's crazy. Well, so Joanne and I are going to go over to Mission Beach here in San Diego after we get done with this show, and walk around and have lunch there. So they opened up that beach about 2 weeks ago, but you can't lie down. You just have to keep moving. So it's really stupid.
Yeah, some of the things don't make sense when you start looking at different things and the rationale behind it.
Right.
But we have to do with what we're told, right. I guess.
Okay, I want to show you. So we bought masks for the thing. Okay? So this is my.
Nice, your mask.
I'll show you my gallery view thing. Look at that. Right?
Okay, that's pretty cool. We just use a regular mask that you buy in the pharmacy. It's just a lot easier. I used to have a fancy one, but they were too hot. So
I know you can't breathe. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. So.
Okay, so summer. I'm not here to talk about business really with you, but summer season is usually pretty crazy for real.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a whole new a new game out there, and it depends on the businesses. You know, some businesses are doing well during this time. There's some manufacturing out there that's continuing.
Yep.
So you'll see the businesses maintaining certain relocations. I don't think you're going to have a summer season like we've normally had each year. Probably give the moving industry a chance to kind of catch up and be able to manage during the COVID process, which is totally different for them, you know, as far as how they handle it, how they have to be dressed and how they need to be cleaned. So it might be a good thing that they're slowly going into the summer season rather than what we see every year being heavily, a lot of moves going on. So.
Right. So tell me about what you see happening in like September, if you could look through your telescope.
Yeah, I guess just my opinion on what's happening at the rate of what's happening and what you're hearing companies doing. I see a lot more continuing to stay working from home for as long as possible. They're for two reasons. I think it's really one is for the sake of your employees and the uncertainty and the variety of guidance you're getting from all over the place. But I think the other thing that's got to be in the back of people's minds, again, only my opinion, is the liability behind this.
Yes.
You know, when you bring people back, whether it's to an office or whether you open up a restaurant or whatever it is, are you signing off that says, you know, you're completely safe, you can come back, we're fine? So it opens up a whole liability issue too. So I think there's a lot going on with that. You know, will the government address that or not? Because, you know, we're a very litigious society. So what happens when someone goes to the gym that says, the gym is saying, we're open, we're fine, we're 60, and then somebody, you know, gets sick or dies, God forbid. You know, who's liable for that? So I think that's still out there, that feeling. And that's why I think you're going to see things going very slow, I think.
Well, that makes sense, indeed. Yeah. So let's talk about leadership, particularly younger generation coming up. It's a huge workforce that's developing. It's already there, but developing even more as Gen Z gets involved more. So they have different attitudes, different obvious technical skills that, for instance, I don't have. But their whole attitude about work and management and leave me alone, let me do my work attitude. So what's your take on that?
Yeah. I think you're right. There's a lot of differences, but then I think there's also the basics that still remain the same on how you treat people. I think there is a lot more individualization in the younger generation where they just give them the project, let me do it. I know I could do it. I don't need someone, micromanaging. But that's even true. That was our thought process, even for baby boomers. You never wanted anyone to micromanage you. I just think they're more out there, so you're hearing more about it. But there's a lot of things that are the same with the younger generation. It used to always get me when I used to always hear, oh, the younger generation, they don't stay with jobs. They jump from one job to the next. They just keep going from one to the next. Well, it's interesting. When I first started out, I think my first 3 years at work, I probably had 4 different jobs, and we were no different in that way. I just think we forget. We kind of hear it more. But I think as far as leadership goes, it's still kind of the same. You still have to be able to work with people. You still have to be able to manage them to be able to get things done. It's not a society. I mean, my daughter, who is a very individual, likes to do projects on her own. She's not looking, she's not managing people, but still their manager respects them. They understand their work style. So it gets tough. You have to understand work styles, and you still have to be that type of manager that's able to adjust to whatever the needs are of an individual. They're not all the same. You can't just say every millennial is the same. They're very different in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. So you're going to read a couple of books this weekend? Or?
No, I'm not a big reader, and I'm not a big reader. I got a lot of stuff to.
I got this new Tom Clancy thing, from 100 years ago, but the same old stuff. They keep trying it out.
Yeah,
interesting. So that's my escape. I don't
stay still long enough to read. I'm always doing something.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So Joanne and I just came back from our mountain resort home that we've had about 10 years in an area called Big Bear Lake. So it's up 7,000 feet. The mountains surrounding LA are pretty high.
Right.
It goes from sea level straight up to 7,000 feet. And of course, it's a large area. So it's called Big Bear Lake. It's about 100 miles east of LA and 3.5-hour drive north from here in San Diego. So we spent 5 days up there. And 2 nights ago was our last night there. And it was 35 degrees. That's at daybreak. And then it went up to about 60. And then down here today in San Diego, it's, about 11 a.m. here, and it's already 75 and sunny. So we're going to the beach. To
we have a swing, not that much of a swing. I think it was like 52 last night, and now it's up to 65. But still, 52 is cold for me, even for here.
Right, chilly. Yeah. Okay. Well, this has been fun talking with you. I'm going to miss not being in front of people a lot. Of course, this way is okay, but it's just not the same. And it never will replace face-to-face. But I look forward to seeing you again somewhere, maybe at your seat in late October.
Yeah, maybe, hopefully. Just not too optimistic about that.
Right.
Honest. But yeah, hopefully I see you soon, Ed, and I want you to stay safe and well. And thank you for having me on.
It's really a pleasure to reconnect. I saw you on Ben's show the other day.
Right.
He does a good job, and a nice person. He does. And so what we're doing here on what I call Global TV is trying to, of course, have a one-on-one situation, but also begin to develop our conferences using this kind of a format with an additional one or two or even three guests. So tomorrow's lunch is that.
Good.
We're doing a global event and just see how it goes.
Yeah, I've seen the interactive type ones work best. I've been on a lot of these different Zoom meetings. The webinars seem to get a little dry sometimes, where you just have someone speaking at you for an hour or 90 minutes. But I think the discussion ones are really pretty cool. They're good.
Yeah, good.
So
you have too many people on the screen. It looks like that old TV show, Hollywood.
Yeah. Hollywood Squares.
Okay, well, nice to see you.
All right. Thanks, Ed. Stay safe.
Bye-bye now.
All right. Goodbye.
So that's Jack in Philadelphia, and this is Ed in San Diego signing off, Global TV.